welcome back to another edition of Bailey Price Media Live.
Bailey Price Media, I like it.
Man, what's going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. Welcome to a special Saturday edition of Bailey Price Media Live. Today, I got a special treat for you. Alcorn State Assistant Head Coach, Coach Leroy Frederick joins the show to talk all things transfer portal. Transfer portal is going crazy here in the spring window here. A lot of different moves across college football that I can't wait to discuss with all of you. We'll discuss Oklahoma's D-tackle, star defensive tackle, David Stone entering the transfer portal. That really caught me by surprise here. He was their only 5-star kid the last 2 years, and I thought he was a hell of a player. He enters the portal. We're also going to talk about South Alabama transfer quarterback Gio Lopez transferring to Bill Belichick in North Carolina. I think Gio Lopez is a hell of a player. Had a hell of a season last season for USA and Major Applewhite, and he transfers to Bill Belichick in North Carolina. We're also going to talk about Coach Prime calling out Virginia over tampering with his players. Talk about Cash Cleveland, Colorado starting center, and he was a walk-on at the time, entering the portal as well. Kennedy Urlacher, Brian Urlacher's son, transfers to USC. We'll discuss that and so much more. If you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army today. Can't thank you enough for tuning in on this fine Saturday here for a special Saturday edition of Bailey Price Media Live. Let's go ahead and bring in our special guest. Without further ado, our special guest, Alcorn State Assistant Head Coach, Coach Leroy Frederick. Coach Fred with the Hawks in the house, the Seahawks hat. I love it, man. You know, I got my Seahawks stuff everywhere, so, man, I love the hat, Coach Fred. How you doing on this fine Saturday, my man?
Man, I'm good. I thought you liked the hat, man. I thought you liked the hat.
I love it, man. I love it. You got the classic, the retro Seahawks hat. I'm with it, man. That's awesome. That's really sweet, man. Coach Fred, before we get into it, man, transfer portal is going wild right now across college football. This spring window, we're seeing all kinds of players enter the portal, all kinds of movement. What are your takeaways and what are your thoughts from all this movement in the spring window here? Man, football has changed a lot in the last 6 years here. I could have never predicted seeing this kind of movement on rosters here this late in the calendar year as we get ramped up here for the fall. But Coach Fred, what are your thoughts on the transfer portal as a whole, as you've seen it the last few weeks going crazy?
Man, I would first of all, it's definitely that going crazy. And I would like to really pull some of these kids, aside and just kind of talk to them, just ask them. I just want to know some of the reasoning behind some of the kids leaving, because it's kids leaving that you're just kind of like, I mean, this is it, right?
Right.
You probably won't be able to get another scholarship, whatever. And, I don't know how much advice they're getting, Bailey, and the advice that they're getting, what is it? What are they telling them? What are you telling a kid to go and seek that he's not getting? And then the thing that's kind of killing me about it all, Bailey, is I agree with other coaches. It probably should just be one portal window. Right. But the thing that kills me, Bailey, is when I see Bailey Price posting 8 offers. Okay, so what are you looking for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are we looking for? You got 8 offers right now. The first day you get into the portal, what else are you waiting on? What are you looking for? And that tells me a lot when a kid is just posting multiple offers. That is now we are basically we're in a money grab.
Yeah.
I'm holding out, waiting to see if I can get something bigger, better, and then how many trips I can take. Because now, Bailey, when they get back in the portal, they can start to visit again. So how many trips can I take? And then we'll go from there, that kind of deal.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is wild. The space we're in, and the direction it's heading. I just had Rodney Anderson, former Oklahoma running back, on Thursday, and he works in NIL for the Sooners. And I just asked him his take on it, his opinion on it. And he's like, he's torn about it, so to speak. Definitely doesn't like all the movement here, but also he thinks there are certain situations in which a player, should transfer, should have that ability to transfer. But man, Fred, let's dive into it. We got a lot of transfer and transfer portal news to talk about here. I can't wait to discuss it with you. First one here. So Oklahoma former 5-star defensive tackle David Stone has entered the transfer portal. Stone was the only defensive 5-star signee of the last 2 recruiting cycles for Oklahoma. Coach Fred, you see here Gerald McCoy, NFL legendary defensive tackle, saying, "Go be great, kid. Proud of you." Saying, "I got you." David Stone replies here. But Coach Fred, I thought this was kind of an alarming transfer portal, news coming out of Oklahoma. I just had Rodney Anderson, from Oklahoma running back, on Thursday. We talked all kinds of transfer portal news about them getting guys. They've been making a lot of waves in getting guys, including Cal running back Jaden Ott, and a Stanford offensive lineman, and others. But now we see David Stone, 5-star IMG Academy product, jumping in the portal here. Coach Fred, what are your thoughts on this news initially? Go ahead.
I mean, to me, that one I didn't see, like you said, I didn't see it because he played. You've got to believe that he's getting top dollar. And it's crazy that we kind of have to liken all this stuff to top dollar type thing.
Right.
And the first thing that it screams to me, Bailey, is that someone's called him, and I could be wrong, but I think someone's called him and said, "Hey, man, I think the new term is, I think you should test the market." And I think that's what's happened, because a 5-star that played, you're at Oklahoma, you're following in the footsteps of a Gerald McCoy. You are pretty much keep the numbers going for the next 2 seasons for you. And you're going to be, a bona fide, legitimate NFL pick. You're at Oklahoma. You're in the SEC. I mean, what else? Again, I say it again. What else are you looking for? Oh, I know. So again, I think this is a market testing move, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, definitely a market testing move. I have some inside sources on this, saying it was an NIL dispute. He may have been asking for more money. Again, here we go with these contract negotiations, Coach Fred, and in college football. This was alarming to me because I was expecting Stone to become the next Perion Winfrey at OU, become the next star defensive tackle to get to the NFL and really have an impact for this OU defense. He enters the portal. I thought this was a little alarming here. And Coach Fred, if this was over NIL and contract negotiations in college football, we just saw Nico Iamaleava here, in Tennessee part ways, so to speak, after somebody in Nico's camp, I'm not going to say who, reportedly asked for more money. You see them part ways. Nico ends up at UCLA with a smaller NIL bag. But Coach Fred, if this was an NIL issue here, what does that tell you? What are your takeaways on contract negotiations in college football? Go ahead.
Man, this is going to be the new norm. Unfortunately, this is now becoming the new norm. And I think, the more the Nico story comes out, the more we're going to hear these type of stories to follow. Because now, what's going to stop me? Because I guarantee you that kid will have he'll have a scholarship offer if he hasn't already gotten them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
He'll have his pick. You know what I mean? So it's one of those deals where, again, I think this has started to set what's going to be the norm going forward. If we don't get a handle on this with some rules, with some parameters, that this is just going to become the norm. I played this year. I played great. Yeah, you paid me. Yeah, I want more money. Oh, you're not going to give it to me? Okay, I'm going to dip. And that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting. You bring up Nico. I think some are calling Nico the poster child of why you shouldn't pay kids NIL out of high school. And this is raising an interesting question and debate, Coach Fred. I wanted to ask you, as a current coach in this college football space here. I had been on a train for a while saying don't pay kids NIL out of high school. And then Rodney Anderson, former OU running back, came on my show Thursday and kind of changed my perspective on it. Coach Fred, I want to play this and get your take on it. Take a listen.
I agree with the not giving it first year.
Really? Why do you say that?
Because in some way, shape, or form, there's hype built around players, high school players coming out that schools go and sell. And if they're selling anything that has to do with the name, image, and likeness of any player, I don't care if they've done anything at the university or not, if they're making money off of it, then I do believe that player deserves a cut. Because what was all this at the beginning of NIL in the first place?
Right.
Schools making all this money, TV making all this money, athletes deserve a cut. And so I think they deserve it. I definitely don't think that any 17, 18-year-old kid coming out of high school that has not played a down at the university needs an outrageous amount of money. Right. I don't think you pay them millions. I definitely don't. You definitely don't pay them millions. I don't think they need hundreds of thousands, but just what they're worth, and then there comes a question, how do you determine worth? How, they haven't done anything. How do you determine worth? So it comes off of hype, and that's true market value. And so how do you decide what an athlete's true market value is coming out of high school? It's hard because the market that they're going into hasn't determined that yet. And so, I feel that they need something. If the school's going to make any type of dime off of them, I feel like they deserve something, but definitely not, a huge paycheck off rip.
Coach Fred, your thoughts on Rodney's comments there? He really changed my perspective on giving players high school out of NIL. Giving players NIL out of high school. I really agree with what he said. Definitely not giving them millions, but paying them what they're worth. I don't think that's kind of the system we're at right now, so to speak. I don't know if you agree to that or not, but what are your thoughts on Rodney's comments, Coach?
I mean, I'm torn because now I have to ask you and him, what's going to determine Bailey's worth? What's going to determine Fred's worth? Because if you're saying, hey, we're going to give you $100,000, in my mind, I may say, nah, I need 500, So what's going to determine that? But I think, like you said before that, because I kind of caught a little bit of the show, before that, I was kind of on the side of not paying them because you were a former college athlete. I am a former college athlete. How many guys that we seen came in with the hype, with the buzz, and for whatever reason, they can never catch up to the speed of the game. They never quite turned out to be what the hype was with them coming in, so I get it. But then again, I'm kind of like, okay, let's see if you're going to make it. Let's see if we're not going to have to redshirt you. Let's see what you do when you get here in July, and then once we get into camp and we're actually in pads, not T-shirt and shorts, and then we'll start to see what that meter looks like. But it's still weird to me when we're talking about contract negotiations and in college football.
Oh yeah,
it's
shout out to Mike Bundy. But yeah, it is crazy, Coach Fred. Contract negotiations in college football. Again, the headlines, you never would have, expected headlines like that. Especially when I saw the Nico headline. I asked Sean King about it last week. Unbelievable the way that situation played out. Nonetheless, David Stone enters the portal, allegedly over NIL demands here. I heard rumors that he may have been visiting Ohio State. I would think that Colorado has to be in the conversation because let me know, David, he can't transfer in the SEC. SEC has a rule you can't transfer in conference and play in the same year. So I'd watch Ohio State. I definitely watch CU considering he played with Jordan Seaton and several other IMG players that are at Colorado now because there's a pipeline from IMG to Colorado for sure. But I would definitely watch some out of SEC schools for David Stone here. Still a surprising transfer portal entry nonetheless, Coach Fred. Before we move forward, shout out to Jacob for, donating $10. Love the show. We appreciate you and becoming a member. Shout out my man here. I appreciate you. Mike Bundy gifting memberships, man. I can't thank you guys enough here on this fine Saturday. All the donations, I'm very, very grateful. I appreciate it. Coach Fred, let's move forward. I got to ask you about another transfer portal entry here that really, really alarmed me here. So Colorado starting center, Cash Cleveland enters the transfer portal, and this is some alarming news for Colorado Buffaloes fans here. Cash took over as the starting center at Colorado last season. He was a walk-on, and last season Hank Salinkas was the starting center for Colorado. And as we got later into the year, I believe the Texas Tech game, had some issues snapping the ball, low snaps, high snaps, whatnot. Cash comes in as a true freshman walk-on, steps up to the plate and plays pretty damn well. Cash Cleveland, another IMG Academy product, out of 6 solid games for Colorado playing last season. I thought he was a really great player for Colorado, somebody who worked up from that walk-on spot. And he enters the portal here, which, is really alarming to me, really surprising, Coach Fred. After Cash entered the portal here, we saw Jordan Seaton, fellow teammate and high school teammate, actually, of Cash's at IMG Academy, post his tweet saying, "Sports crazy now. Can't even build a true brotherhood anymore. Too much. I and me." Coach Fred, what are your thoughts on the tweet there from Jordan Seaton and from Cash Cleveland entering the portal here? I believe I would take a wild guess he got plucked and got some money elsewhere, but nonetheless surprising here. Coach Fred, your thoughts. Go ahead.
The tweet is very real. Just from looking at the portal, you can see how it is now. If a guy comes in with a class of 24 and 6 months later, 10 out of the 15 that came in the class of 24 gone, what's the continuity? Where are you at? And then this case right here is exactly what you said. A kid that was paying his own way, put some good stuff on film, and someone in some department saw it and was like, well, hey, we'll give you a scholarship plus. And I think that's what it is. And I could see him going in there and going to Coach Prime and saying, hey, I need X amount of dollars plus a scholarship. And I can also see Coach Prime saying, no, sir, that kind of thing. So, when you start talking about, and again, we're speculating, but when you start talking about the initial negotiations, that's one of those deals that I'm sure is starting to happen. And I can see a kid that was a walk-on that came in and became a starter. I can see him getting the nudge, getting the urge to go in there and say, hey, I think I did pretty well. I think I deserve X amount of dollars. And I can see them saying no. And then I can see 30 other teams in his DMs telling them that, hey, we got it for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think with several Colorado players, and we're going to discuss in a second, Deion Sanders calling out Virginia for attempting to poach some of his players and offered them some large sums of money here. You can definitely assume that Cash Cleveland falls under that. Definitely got plucked, so to speak, from a bigger school giving him a contract. I don't know if I necessarily have a problem with this. I was definitely surprised by this, Coach Fred, considering Cash really stepped up and took over at that center position. He and Jordan Seaton were high school teammates. They have even more of his high school teammates coming up there. London Merritt and McPherson, DNs from IMG Academy, and I'm sure they're going to have more IMG kids coming up to CU. So that's why, to me, it was the biggest alarming, a little bit alarming to me seeing Cash enter the portal. But what I do know about that Colorado offensive line room, led by Andre Gerard, George Hageman, and now Gunnar White, it's going to be competitive. They're going to bring in guys to push you and compete. And if guys don't want to compete, they're going to enter the portal and get out, so to speak. I think that's the case with Cash Cleveland. I also could suspect that he got offered a bag in the portal, considering the way he worked himself up from a walk-on, so to speak. But Coach Fred, it's just interesting the dynamics that go into that. There's no more, like Jordan Seaton tweeted here, there's too much I and me, so to speak. Do you agree with Seaton's tweet here?
I do. And again, like you said, taking Cash out of it, that was a kid that kind of built himself up, so to speak, from a walk-on status. You take him out of it, but then, again, I hate to keep beating the Nico horse, but here's a kid that supposedly, allegedly, and it falls right into what he is what he's saying in this tweet,
Right.
and then you come back and you hear what finally Nico says something about it, and it's one of those deals where you got to believe half of what you're hearing from both sides, and I still think it leads back to this tweet. You're never going to have the same roster. And I know you never did anyway because of graduation and things like that, but you're never going to have close to the same roster ever again. As soon as the season's over, it's done. And I was listening to somebody, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Bailey, I can't remember who I was listening to, but you're talking about a team that's getting ready to play for the college football playoffs, and there's guys that saying they're not going to go. I think it was Ohio State backup quarterback.
Yeah, so here's what I heard. So Josh Pate, I believe, is the one who said that. And Josh Pate was actually talking about Nico, saying that Nico potentially would sit out a college football playoff game over NIL contract negotiations, so to speak, Coach Fred. Coach Fred, I'm not going to lie to you. Somebody that I work for and work with, Coach Jason Brown, may have said that 3 years ago about players sitting out playoff games, and it's crazy. Fast forward, we're really seeing it, and news is coming out about the Nico thing. We saw who was it? Malik Murphy, Texas's backup quarterback, about a year ago, enter the portal before their playoff run where they lost to Washington. But man, it is and shout out to Lucy for the donation here. Complex issue indeed, Lucy. I agree with you, and I can't thank you enough for the donation. No easy fix in sight. Congress will step in and regulate if they can. I think, Fred, how do you regulate this system, Coach? Like, I don't.
It's got to be a set number. It's got to be a set number. From USC to UMass, it's got to be a set number. And then I get it. The bagman will be back in play. The mysterious bag that shows up on a kid's porch will be back in play. I get it, but it's got to be a set number, a visual set number for everybody. And, the sitting out the playoff game is not going to be just about money. It's going to be about, like you said, the portal. A kid that's not playing, that's not getting an opportunity to showcase his talents to get money, is now going to say, you know what, this window's open. I got to go right now. I wish my guys a lot of luck, but I got to do what's better, what's best for me, whatever, that kind of thing. But, it's just the start of it, man. It's just the start of it.
It's just the start of it, indeed. And Coach Rodney Anderson, who works in NIL, he's like, we're starting to discuss contracts. He's saying at his work they're starting to discuss contracts and the way that would look like in college football,
which was supposed to be scholarships.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And the way it's changed, Coach Fred. The one takeaway I say from it, it is professional football. I don't know how you don't call it that. At this point, it is professional college football, however you want to call it, but they are not. Can't say student athlete anymore. Mike Bundy, shout out for the $10 who pays the tuition at IMG. It's safe to say if you go to IMG, a high school, Coach, you live in lavishly, and it is all football and business down there. For a reason that.
Have you ever seen that campus?
I've never been there. I've seen the campus. It's unbelievable. Just from a perspective of like, go ahead.
So I recruit there, and it is truly a college. It is truly a college. They have a hotel on campus. They have about 4 baseball programs. They have like 3 football programs. I think they got 3 basketball programs. Right. And then you have just your regular student body. So technically they don't give scholarships, but
right. Yeah.
Your parents have got to be well off really to send you there for multiple years. You know what I mean?
For sure. Definitely. Coach, let's move forward. A lot of transfer portal news to talk about. I would have loved to play at IMG. Nice place there nonetheless. Living lavish. But man, I got to talk to you about one of my favorite moves in the transfer portal here, Coach Fred. South Alabama quarterback Gio Lopez has transferred to North Carolina. Bill Belichick gets his quarterback. Coach, this is something, like I mentioned, very excited about this transfer. Gio Lopez, I had a lot of fun watching him for South Alabama last season. Major Applewhite in that team. They put up 84 points one game last year. I thought they were a hell of a team. Put 48 on App State as well. This was a move that made me really excited just because I know Bill Belichick really needed a quarterback. Gio, the left-handed quarterback, I thought had a hell of a first season last year for South Alabama. Transfers to Bill Belichick in North Carolina and Chapel Hill. Coach Fred, what are your thoughts on this move here? Go ahead.
Again, heck of a player. Lit it up last year at South Alabama. I get it, bigger stage. But then what's funny with this one, Bailey, is no sooner than he committed to North Carolina, the kid that left Purdue to go to North Carolina sees this and goes back to to Purdue. You know, it's really getting crazy. But this kid is really talented. I get it. I think I've said it. I think I said it on the Coach JB show. This is simply big bank, take little bank. Yeah. And, so again, I think Gio's really a talented kid, and hopefully this move works out for him. And it's just funny how he shows up, and then the kid Ryan goes back to Purdue after he left Purdue to go to North Carolina. So it's the stories are getting funnier and crazier. For sure.
Yeah, definitely getting funnier and crazier, Coach Fred. It is a wild era that we're in for college football. Gio Lopez threw for 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, South Alabama last season. Major Applewhite's team here, and the rumor is, Coach, that he's getting $4 million over 2 years at North Carolina. Here, I wanted to play this excerpt of what Gio Lopez's contract reportedly looks at North Carolina. Take a listen.
Holy cow. 2 years, $4 million for former South Alabama quarterback Gio Lopez going to play at North Carolina. If those reports are right, Eli Lederman from ESPN reporting those numbers. This is really what the portal is all about. Out of high school, Gio Lopez was recruited by Jacksonville State, UAB, Fordham, and schools along those lines, a lot like South Alabama. And now he's going to make $2 million per year for the next 2 years. You do hope he's not giving up 20% commission as some of these NIL agents are expecting to get. NFL agents get 3% maximum. That's the difference between giving up $800,000 or $120,000. Huge difference. But again, you can't blame Gio Lopez. He gets to play for Belichick, and he's making $4 million over the next 2 years.
Man, Coach Fred, he definitely raised the point with these NIL agents, so to speak, take a 20%. That's just crazy. I'm not going to dive into that. But, Coach, that, like you said, that's kind of what it's all about with the transfer portal in the good way of it, so to speak, I think, because, you see Gio Lopez coming in. He gets recruited by these certain schools here, has a great season here, and, gets to cash in, so to speak, with Belichick and North Carolina, and gets to probably be the first quarterback here for Belichick to coach in the college level here at in Chapel Hill. What are your thoughts on his reported NIL deal here and his ascent from South Alabama to Chapel Hill?
Man, that sounds like a contract, don't it, Bailey?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, my question is, great for the kid, played himself into a situation, like I said, at South Alabama and played himself out of that supposedly. So my question is, if he's subpar, does he get the second year of the $2 million?
It's a good question, Coach. And we saw former Tulane quarterback Darian Mensah transfer to Duke. His rumored NIL deal was, I believe, 2 years, $8 million or something. He gets like 4 a year. So again, the intangibles that go into it, Coach Fred, I don't know. I mean, I would love to know really, can they get rid of him after a year? Can they, whatever? I'm not too sure, Coach Fred. I mean, you would think that if he plays good and then goes to negotiate, it would probably go in his favor. If he has a season like Nico and then goes and negotiates, you might see what happened to Nico in Tennessee. But I don't, like people are saying in the chat, can't blame the kid here. This is, to me, seeing the way he ascended, that's what it's all about in college football. Going and having a great season, going and getting paid. To me as a player, that's what it's all about. I do get the frustration from schools like South Alabama not being able to hold on to their star young players. I believe they're they had a star freshman running back as well enter the portal as well. But nonetheless, I'm a fan of this, Coach. But go ahead. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I hate it as a small school coach. I hate it for us because North Carolina and no one in the ACC thought anything of that kid. You know what I mean? As far as offering him a scholarship. Mm-hmm. And, we all have the same access to seeing these kids, and I hate it, again, like I said, being a small school coach. I hate it for Coach Heupel because, again, they went and found the kid. They put the work in to get the kid up to speed as far as, getting him from high school speed to college speed and him excelling in that offense. But, again, it just turns into big bank take little bank and kind of go from there. But I want to say here publicly on the Bailey Price Show that if there's anybody out there that needs a tax write-off and looking to start a collective, hit me up. Just get Bailey, get at Bailey. Bailey knows how to get to me, and we can work. We can work.
We can work, absolutely. Well said, Coach Fred. Well said. Definitely for the smaller school there. Nonetheless, definitely I'm going to be watching Gio Lopez and the Tar Heels this season. This is
Definitely.
what, if I had to rate, different moves along the offseason, this is among my favorite. I'm really excited to see Gio Lopez play for Belichick in North Carolina. Go ahead.
So right now with that, he's got to be either number one or number two college quarterback play because it's in the realm of the Carson Beck numbers, aren't it? Right?
It's in the realm. Like I think it's what was the numbers? It's like 2 years. How many does he get a year? So he gets $2 million a year. So it's like Nico, a little bit less than what Nico got. A little bit less than what Darian Mensah got at where did he go? Duke. But still not. I don't think it's a little bit less than the Carson Beck range, but it's up there.
Carson's only 1 year. Right.
Yeah, he's 1 year, $4 million. So it's. Yeah, still nonetheless, a lot of money going around, Coach Fred, for these players. That is what it is. Wow, the professional football indeed. But shout out to Gio Lopez, getting the bag, transferring to UNC. Belichick's new quarterback, definitely going to watch it. One of my favorite moves in the transfer portal this offseason. Coach Fred, let's move across college football here. Let's go to Notre Dame here. Start here. Kennedy Urlacher, son of NFL Hall of Famer legend Brian Urlacher, has entered the transfer portal and has transferred to Lincoln Riley and USC here. Kennedy had 12 tackles last season as a true freshman for Notre Dame here. I thought he had a hell of a year and just, kind of as a backup here. But, when he got in, he definitely made some plays here. He transfers across the country to USC. Coach Fred, what are your thoughts on this move? Go ahead.
I think this is definitely not about NIL. I think this one is probably more about playing time and just knowing about the opportunity to be able to play right now full time. Not that he wasn't. Well, I got to believe that he knew that he wasn't going to be a full-time starter there. The opportunity to go across the country to your natural rival and actually have an opportunity to start, I think is absolutely crazy when you put it in the fact that Notre Dame and USC is a rivalry. Hats off to the kid. Just think 4 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible. And, here we are. What a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. What a time.
You can transfer to your rival to play at your school.
Yeah, ain't no loyalty no more, Coach Fred. It's a wild thing you hear college football, and this was interesting because I didn't think when I read this right off the bat, I didn't think this was about a money thing at all. Could have been for sure because I don't think just because his dad has a ton of money doesn't mean he's going to be absolutely loaded in college. So I think it definitely NIL could be the case here, but. It's just an interesting move. I wanted to highlight him going to SC. Lincoln Riley looking for defense. Lincoln Riley and SC looking to get over the hump here, so to speak. Nonetheless, I think them getting Kennedy is a good move. I'd like to see how they use him before I make more comments on it. But I thought he had a hell of a. He made some plays as a freshman here, and I'm just waiting to see how Lincoln Riley uses him at Southern Cal here. But
Right now, whose brand is bigger? I got to believe that Notre Dame is, coming off a
Right now
playoff
has to be Notre
run.
Dame, especially after last season,
Yeah.
right? You know how recency bias is, Coach Fred. You definitely have to go with Notre Dame. But, I mean, if you're talking about actual brand, though, it's Southern California. You don't get bigger than that, right?
I mean, yeah, but, like you said, with the recent the recent success, I would think that, being at Notre Dame would be better off than USC. But again, the opportunity to play, I'm sure, came into play for him with this decision. And I'm just saying, Notre Dame, USC, rivals right now, one's hot, one's not. Speculation that this could be it for Coach Riley if they don't get off to a great start. The stability, I think, would be more at Notre Dame than USC. But, who all knows what this decision was about. Just pure speculation.
Yeah, just pure speculation. Who knows what goes into it? But I think I agree with you nonetheless. And it's interesting. I think Notre Dame, had a great season last year, couldn't get over the hump here, so to speak. USC, man, they got to win this season, or people are going to be really clamoring for Lincoln Riley to, get out of there and stuff. They got to win now here. So them getting Brian Urlacher's son Kennedy, it's a great move to get in that direction, so to speak, Coach Fred. But Coach, I got to talk about probably the biggest topic here of the hour. And if you guys are watching, I appreciate you. Hit that like button, subscribe, become a member. It's been a great Saturday show here. All 30 people on YouTube. I appreciate you all tuning in here today. Let's go further here. So Coach Prime calls out Virginia for tampering with his players, specifically safety Carter Stoutmire. Coach Fred, take a look at this and we'll discuss. Here we go.
Carter got off the bank. What call that? What's the school? What's the school over here today? Virginia, what's the camera? Right there. Virginia, you gotta stop. I let you have one. I ain't say nothing about it. Hold him up. Come on now. Come on. We let you have one. We're coming for you. I ain't say nothing about it. Hey, it's another brother. Wow.
Damn, Coach Fred, that is interesting, Coach. What are your thoughts on this move here? Virginia reportedly offered Carter Stoutmire a huge bag of money here in the transfer portal. And Coach Prime does not hesitate, goes right at Bucky's camera there and calls him out there. What are your thoughts on that? Go ahead.
I absolutely love it. I think we said a couple shows back that it had to happen. And who better to make that noise than Coach Prime, you know what I mean? And I'm sure he didn't shy away from it. But in order for the tampering to stop, I think it's got to be a deal of where you start to call people out. I think there's got to be some stuff where the NCAA kind of gets involved, goes and actually looks at it and makes sure that it is a real deal. But then I also ask at the same time, I throw it back to you, B, okay, what happens now to Virginia?
What do you mean? What happens to him? How so? Not because Fred. What do you think? The NCAA ain't gonna do nothing.
If it's proven that someone from that office, someone wearing that Virginia logo, actually did that, or is actually doing this, and it's found to be true, what happens now to Virginia?
Well, I mean, if he can prove it, and they're really going to go at it for it, they're going to get hit, right? They're going to get something from the NCAA. I think it's interesting because this is somebody I got to ask about this. I had a Virginia alum, 9-year NFL veteran Ray Roberts on my show about a month ago here, and he actually went to Twitter about this and went at this a little bit, saying about Coach Prime calling out Virginia, saying this is a terrible take. They all poach, whether in the portal or flipping high school commitments, fake outrage, and a fake high road. Miss me with this. I was a little surprised by Ray's take there. That is, I'm not going to argue with him. It is true. Tampering is rampant everywhere. I'm not going to say Colorado isn't doing that. I mean, because if it's allowed, they're doing it. You best believe Colorado is up there in the portal numbers, and they recruit the portal heavy. But I to be honest with you, me seeing that, I'm like, I'm with it. If we're trying to combat the Wild Wild West, so to speak, aspect of college football, fuck it, call it out. I'm with it. I'm with coaches calling that out. Coach, you agree there?
Yeah, I'm with that. And then, when he talks about flipping commits, the kid, I flipped Bailey. Bailey's committed to X university. Bailey hadn't signed. Bailey's not there. So there's a difference. You know what I mean? When you're talking about flipping a commit, there's a difference when a kid is in the portal. There's a difference when a kid is actually in your locker room. There's a difference. You know what I mean? So that's my whole deal on that. But I'm about the pettiness. Call them out. Let's do it.
Exactly.
Now I need Virginia to come back and say something. Where you at, Virginia? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And who Coach Prime actually was talking about was Colorado safety Carter Stoutmire. And Carter Stoutmire was asked in a press conference about why he's loyal to Colorado and why he wouldn't leave Colorado. Coach Fred, take a listen to this.
What's it like as a student athlete in 2025 when we bring up the topic of the transfer portal? Is that something that guys talk about in the locker room? Is it whispers? Hey, what are you thinking, around this day? Take us behind the curtain a little bit with what that experience is like to be 18 to 22 years old and talking about that possibility.
It's a tricky topic right there. From my point of view on the portal, majority of kids, when they see someone go out there and throw a few 100,000 at them, they'll jump at it immediately. So, just me personally, I just have so much loyalty to this program and stuff like that. Everything that Coach Prime's done with me since I was a kid, since I was a baby, Coach Mathis, Coach Hart, what I'm saying? So my loyalty is just so strong here. I don't think it's a number out there that could really get me to leave. And then people in this locker room, I just feel like we're all just so tight in and bought into the program. So thoughts of transfer portal comes up, that doesn't really faze us. People that are gone, we know who it is. We know who the ones who are gonna go. So we don't really give them too much mind. But those that we know gonna stay, we all locked in here.
I love it, Coach. I love what Carter said there. Coach, what are your thoughts on Carter Stoutmire's comments on the transfer portal? Go ahead.
I love what he said. The fact that he's standing on it, allegedly because Virginia tried to move him. I think if more kids were operating that way, I think it'll be a different situation. But the thing that's also funny in what he said, someone in that same locker room put out the tweet that we just talked about how you can't form anything anymore because guys are here or there. And then the same locker room had a kid jump out and go somewhere else. So if he could get everybody else in the locker room on that, I think it'll be a different deal. But kids today, like he said, someone says, Bailey, we got $100,000 for you. Bailey's about that. The one thing that Bailey doesn't realize that $100,000 is not going to be $100,000 because Bailey's going to have to pay taxes.
Yeah, Coach.
And I'm waiting on those stories to come from this, Bailey, and we should be about a year away from these type of stories surfacing about.
We talked about that. We talked about certain states legalizing, or not legalizing, making it not non-taxable, so to speak, to where kids won't have to deal with that. I don't know what states have and haven't yet. Well, that is definitely something we're going to watch here in the next 6 months to a year, Coach. But I think you're talking about Jordan Seaton's tweet here. I honestly think this was probably frustration from Seaton, from Cash. I mean, I think they probably knew Cash was entering the portal for a while here. But when the news broke, I think this is frustration from that. Him and Cash were high school teammates, and I would probably feel the same way. Although I also don't fault Cash, considering Cash was a walk-on, Seaton was a 5-star kid, probably the best tackle in the class. He's going to be a top 5 draft pick one day. I don't fault Cash either. I get both sides here, Coach.
Most definitely.
But last thing I want to talk to you about, and this is an interesting story here. Sticking on the Colorado train, Colorado defensive end edge rusher Taja McCoy has committed to Oklahoma State. Taja entered the portal here a couple days ago, and I thought this was a really big loss for Colorado on their defensive line. I thought Taja McCoy was, somebody in that defensive room who's really going to step up this season and have a huge impact. He had, I believe, four sacks last season, it says there, and he had a hell of a year last year, working rookie in that D-line room here. Now Colorado loses him, and Warren Sapp, who's one of Colorado's defensive line coaches, was not happy about some of these, losing him specifically, Taja McCoy in the portal here. Here's him talking to Uncle Anelia about this. Take a listen.
Thing, man. You get wake.
Hold on one sec.
What we've been doing, but this transfer portal thing, man. You get waking up with all of a sudden, you got 3-4 names that you need to call and text and find out if this is true, the rumors. Yeah. And one was true, and it's something new for me. It's something new. I figured why would you want to leave a room with me? I'm here for you, baby.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. It's all about you. It's all about you. I mean, I'm good. Whatever I got going, it's been that way, and it's going to stay that way.
Absolutely. I say all the time, that door swings both ways. You
Yes,
can bring
it
them
does.
in, you can take them out.
Yes, it does. But that's the first time it's ever swung the other way on me.
Yeah.
And come on. You know how I am.
Yeah.
I'm like a dad, man. One of my babies leaving, man. I'm not happy about this.
Coach Sapp is definitely not happy about losing Taja McCoy. Taja commits to Oklahoma State. The Oklahoma native goes back home. But Coach Fred, what are your thoughts on Coach Sapp's comments there? You feel the same way he does?
Absolutely. And it goes back to, like you said, about Gio. I think with Coach Heupel, when you do recruit these kids from the ground up, there's a relationship when you do it the right way, when you recruit them the right way. You meet mom, you meet dad, you meet grandma, whoever it is. I always tell a kid when I first start the process, like, okay, how do you want me to recruit you? Do I need to call you? Do I need to text you? What's going to be easier? Because either way it goes, it's like we're dating now. So you're going to wake up to that text. Hey, what's happening? Think Alcorn State. You're going to wake up to that call at some point like, hey, have a great day, man. Think about the Braves. So you put an investment, you put time in, and you see that kid, that light turn on, and then all of a sudden, you got high hopes for that next year, and then like, Coach Sapp said, you get those tweets, those texts, and it's true, and it becomes disheartening. And, I get it. This kid probably was a little homesick, no doubt about it, being that he's from Oklahoma. I get it. But, man, to leave a room with a Hall of Famer teaching you, that had to be a hard decision, I would think.
Yeah, definitely a hard decision, and a really surprising decision from Taja McCoy. This caught me out of left field, to be honest with you. I did not expect him. I thought he was, step up and really become the premier edge rusher for Colorado. Them losing BJ Gruden to the NFL draft here. Colorado will be left with, I believe, Sammy Sachs. 93, I can't pronounce his last name. We just call him Sammy Sachs. We also got Keaton Wade and several others on the edge rushers. I think also the guys I mentioned earlier, two IMG kids, London Merritt and McPherson, right. True freshmen who I think will really step up in Taja McCoy's place for Colorado. Taja McCoy, Oklahoma native, commits to Oklahoma State, and Mike Gundy there. Interesting development, Coach Fred, nonetheless. Coach, I got two things for you. One of them you texted me about during Coach JB's show yesterday that Coach JB just posted a short, actually, that I want drags me into stupid conversations that you texted me about yesterday on the show that we'll talk about. But first, Coach, the NFL draft's next week. Where are you at? Any predictions here? We haven't done any mock drafts. Sorry to the fans who wanted a mock draft. I'm sorry. It's just not easy to put together. But Coach Fred and I will run through some of our picks here real quick. Coach Fred, before you go, I'll give a couple predictions of mine. I think Will Johnson is going to pick 6 to the Raiders. Travis Hunter, obviously, I think will go 2 to Cleveland. Looking on this, I think Shedeur Sanders is going to go 12 to the Cowboys, and Jerry Jones, if he falls that far, that's the team that I'm saying. I don't think he's going to the Saints. I think the Saints are going to start Rattler. Yeah, those are my three big predictions there. Coach Fred, do you have any thoughts on the NFL draft here as we're less than a week away?
I think the number 1 pick is going to swing everything. I think it depends on what Tennessee does. Cam Ward feels like he's a lock for him, but I also feel like they could actually trade back. And if they trade back, I think that's going to throw everything in a tizzy. I still think, the kid from Abdul I still feel like he's being evaluated because, how teams praise that defensive pick, and, he's a Michael Parsons 2.0. And I think if the evaluations come back and he's going to be able to hit the ground running in preseason with the foot surgery and things like that, I think that the number one pick is not as solid as people think it
Really?
is. Yeah, I don't. Simply
Damn.
because that kid is I think he's a franchise changer. Not that Cam's not, but I think day one, an edge rusher, a guy that can play the run, becomes a little more valuable than a quarterback who we all know. They all are, the dice game, no doubt about it. Don't get me wrong on that. But I think the quarterback is a bigger dice game than that edge rusher. And if Abdul Carter is predicted to come back and be 100%, I could see Tennessee doing something crazy with that. And then again, that sets everything on its head. And I'm kind of like you. The Saints are into Spencer and Carr for a lot of money. I don't think they go get another guy, even though Carr is being reported that he may not play in next season. They're still on the hook for that money. So I don't see them setting that and adding another one. And then the Giants for him, I think, is out of the loop. Wilson and oh my God, Jameis. I don't see that being an option for the Giants. But I'm still saying the Raiders for him. I know you're saying no, but I'm still saying the Raiders for him. And that's kind of where I'm at with that. So the number one pick is going to set everything in motion, I think.
Damn, Coach Fred, that's interesting. I think Cam Ward is a lock at number one to the Titans. I don't agree with it, but I think it's a lock. Here's my thing on Abdul Carter that makes me kind of hesitant on him. If you watch Penn State last season, I thought his backups at Penn State were pretty damn good, if not as good as him. I'm not saying as good because we know Abdul Carter's a freak. But if you watch 15 and 33, I watched them a lot. The edge rushers that were behind Abdul Carter are freakazoids too. Like, I'm like, dude, he's just one of many for Penn State. That's my thing is I'm like, I get Abdul Carter, but I'm like, I don't know. I think people are not overhyping him, but I'm like, dude, just wait. His backups are just as good, dude. They're freakazoids on that Penn State D line. We'll see. I don't think they've left either. I think they're there. I agree with you about the Giants. I don't think they're going quarterback simply because I think Daboll's got to play for his job. He can't. They win. If they don't win 8 games, he's gone. I think that's pretty certain. The Jags at 5, I think, are going D tackle. I think it's going to be 2 Michigan guys in a row. I think Mason Graham, the D tackle, is going to go at 5 to Jacksonville. New England is going to be interesting. If I could predict any of the top 5 picks to be traded, it's that one, to be honest with you. I'd definitely watch for New England to trade that pick if Travis Hunter is not there at 4. The Jets are a wild card to me. They could pick a quarterback. I think that's the one team that signed a quarterback that could pick a quarterback. Them and Dallas, I just I'm like, dude, if Shador's there at 12, how is Jerry Jones going to say no to that? Like, there's no way. Like, Jerry Jones is saying no to that
just because. Yeah, he does that just because. Mm-hmm. That is going to be an instant lightning rod for whoever does it. For whoever makes that pick, that's going to be an instant lightning rod for your franchise, for whoever does it. And who looks for that more than Jerry Jones?
Yeah, exactly, Coach. And that would be the number one jersey seller, like that, Coach. Like, you wouldn't have to wait twice, like that would be that two Sanders and that, like, it's over. But man, Coach, we're almost there to the draft, and then we can stop talking about hypotheticals with the NFL draft. Last thing I gotta bring up to you, and I work for Coach JB. They asked me the question, I answer, and then I get killed on Twitter and whatever because of this. Just take a look, Coach Fred. Go ahead.
Let's take a look at this, man. It said, bro, this is fat, not thick.
What?
Here we go. Hold on. Here we go. Here we start. Here we go. Bailey, bring your ass in here.
Yes.
At this point, I lost.
Wait, what are you
inclining?
I agree with what the caption says. Cool. See, I said that, and I get killed. I'm not going into it. I got a text from Coach Fred in the middle of it, too. I'm making a crime or something. I just answered the question. That's it. That's it. Coach, any comments on that?
Yeah, well, when I text you and then you text me back and then, we text back and forth, I understood where you were coming, man, but I disagree with your take.
Oh,
But when he said stop, Bailey, bring your ass in here. I knew right then where it was about to go.
Fuck, dude, why? I shouldn't have said anything. I said something small in the private chat. I think I was like, "Be for real" or something, and they were like, "Oh, here we go." And I'm like,
I knew it was about to go left, but
I knew it was about to go crazy when he said that.
I didn't expect what you said.
Go.
I didn't expect what you said, but when you texted, and I'll keep our text private, I was just like, I really don't know Bailey's measurements. I don't know if he's 6 foot. I don't know if he's 180. And then when you text that, I was like, okay.
I mean, yeah, like,
we'll leave it at that.
I know I used to play offensive line, but I also keep it real, like,
But I don't think what you text me would go with that picture. But then again, I don't know how tall that person is.
I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but you get my point.
Yeah, but I mean, height makes a difference in that. If you look at the picture, if that's 6'8", that's probably closer to what you text me. You know what I mean? If that is 5'5", I don't know. You know what I mean? I just love the crew's reaction when you said what you said.
Oh yeah, they lost it.
Before we go, you got to play that again before we go.
I'm getting killed. I'm getting killed on Twitter for that right now. Here, I'll play it one more time.
You got to play that again. You got to play that again before we go.
Let's take a look at this, man. It said, "Bro, this is fat, not thick."
What?
Here we go. Hold on. Here we go. Here we start. Here we go. Bailey, bring your ass in here.
Yes.
Wait, what are you inclinating?
I agree with what the caption says. That shit is so fucking funny. I know. I went back and watched it. And I was like, "Oh, that was pretty funny." Oh man.
Smitty slaps the table. He walks off. JB pushes the chair back, goes and picks a drink. Bailey, man.
I knew Smitty was going. I knew Smitty was going to have a major problem with it. Then he's like, "I'm racist and I don't support my own people." And all this fucking bullshit. I've been missing that shit. Coach, what's with John Gruden talking about these rappers and stuff? You seen this on Twitter? He's learning. Not talking about these players that he's interviewing. He's learning about these new rappers. Like he's learned about Quavo and he's learned about NBA YoungBoy. I saw he was listening to as well. Any comments before we get out of here on John Gruden? I'm a big fan of John Gruden on the social media space. I think he does a hell of a job and he's pretty entertaining. But what are your thoughts?
I like Coach as well. I think Coach is kind of dating himself. Quavo's not new. Depending on which baby you're talking about, they're not new either. It's an ever-changing thing. You got a guy retiring to become a rapper. Hot topic in the middle of a down season, so to speak. So I'm curious to see how many Coach really knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a fan of Gruden. I think that shit is hilarious. I don't expect him to know any rappers, so just seeing that makes me laugh a little bit. I'm with it, and I think he's going to be coaching sooner than we may expect. I think this is all like we saw kind of with Belichick and McAfee last season. We get to see a little bit of personal side of him. I think it's only a matter of time with John Gruden before he gets back coaching in the NFL or even the college ranks. I'm not going to throw college out of there either, considering it's professional football.
Do you? I mean, do you think what allegedly happened with him and all that stuff? Do you think that goes away? Do you think I think
it already has gone away, Coach. I think it already has gone away. I think if you're being honest with it, especially with him at Barstool, I don't see anybody going at Gruden over the past. I think it's gone.
But before we get out, I want you to think about it, baby. it's gone away out of everyday media, but the minute Bailey Price University says they're going to hire him, guess what's going to come back? So is any franchise or university going to want to take that backlash?
That's going to be the question, Coach. Where is that place that is not going to be afraid to take that backlash? Because it's going to be a surprise. Definitely raise some headlines on like Deion Sanders level of publicity, I think.
Ain't no doubt.
But I think he'll be back soon, nonetheless. But Coach, man, this is a great show on this fine Saturday. It's a great way to get the weekend started, man. Crazy transfer portal news, people movement going everywhere. But we discussed it and broke it down here. Coach, I can't thank you enough for joining. To those watching, make sure to check out Coach Fred on the Common Man podcast every week, every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Central. Make sure to check out Coach Fred's Common Man podcast. He does a hell of a job over there. Coach, I can't thank you enough for joining, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Anytime, brother.
Absolutely, man. I'll reach out to you offline, and have a great Saturday, my man. Can't thank you enough for joining. Talk to you soon. And, great hat, by the way. I love the unbelievable Seahawks throwback hat. Shout out to Coach Fred. Alcorn State assistant head coach, Coach Leroy Frederick, for joining the show on this fine Saturday. Great show here on this fine Saturday, a special Saturday edition show. I think, honestly, I'm going to be doing more of these as we go on here in the offseason here, get closer to the college football and NFL season here. NFL draft is next week too, by the way, so we're going to be doing something special with Coach JB for that. But if you're watching, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of the Bailey Price Media Army today. Shout out to all the people in the chat, man. This has been a huge, great show. Lucy, Mike Bundy, Joe Accord, Jacob Stotsky, New Legacy Martial Arts Academy, and so many more. I appreciate you all being in the chat, dropping your opinions, really growing this community here at Bailey Price Media Live. I appreciate you. Tuesday, I got a very special show. All Texas Longhorn fans, you definitely want to tune into that show. I got a Texas Longhorn guy, 247 analyst, joining the show here. So make sure on Tuesday to tune in for that. 3 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 12 p.m. Pacific. I appreciate you all watching. I'll be back on Monday with Matt McChesney, 0 to 60. Matt had something to deal with yesterday, unfortunately, so we couldn't have the show with Chad Brown. But we'll be back with Chad Brown on Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Mountain. And, of course, be back on Monday with the Coach JB Show with Big Smitty on Monday as well. Enjoy the weekend. I appreciate you. Enjoy the Easter weekend. Be safe. Enjoy the holiday. And I'll see you guys on Monday. And I appreciate you all tuning in. Peace.